The mainstream media and the establishment apologists at ESPN want to gaslight you into believing that the WNBPA is in some noble, historic fight for fair compensation for all women. That is an absolute lie. The reality is undeniable and it is staring us right in the face. The union's pure, unadulterated greed is currently holding the entire 2026 season hostage. They are standing at the negotiating table demanding an astronomical 30% revenue share, completely ignoring the uncomfortable truth that this entire financial boom is 100% dependent on the Caitlin Clark economy. We are watching players who couldn't draw a crowd to a local YMCA try to piggyback off the billion-dollar empire built by the Indiana Fever. They want the massive Clark effect paychecks, but they refuse to admit who is actually putting fans in the seats. It is a toxic mix of jealousy and pure entitlement that is pushing this league straight toward financial ruin. If you are tired of the old guard trying to steal the credit and the cash that Caitlin Clark generated, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Let's expose the greed. But while the players point fingers at the league and demand money they didn't earn, one major star just broke ranks and dropped a bombshell that completely destroys the union's entire narrative. We have the audio, and it exposes exactly who is actually to blame. To understand why the union has lost their minds, you have to look at the history of the jealousy that got us here in the first place.
These other owners are doing the most bare minimum, and it's like, sell your team and let other people who want to be a part of something great, like put their money into it, you know what I mean? But it's just...
Let's rewind the tape and pull the receipts, because the mainstream media seems to have a very convenient case of amnesia when it comes to how we got here. For nearly 30 years, the WNBA was a financial black hole. They lost tens of millions of dollars annually, played in empty arenas, and survived solely on subsidies. The league was practically on life support. Then, the new era arrived. Caitlin Clark stepped onto the professional court and instantly shattered every single viewership, merchandise, and attendance record in the history of women's basketball.
I watched the ratings drop by more than 55% when one single player named Caitlin Clark was not available to play.
She didn't just grow the game, she single-handedly rescued it from irrelevancy. But instead of showing an ounce of gratitude to the savior of their sport, how did the bold guard respond? They reacted with absolute, unapologetic toxicity. We watched them deliver physical cheap shots on the hardwood. We endured the endless media gaslighting from establishment networks trying to downplay her cultural gravity. We witnessed a deep-seated, bitter resentment from veterans who couldn't stomach the reality that a rookie was achieving what they couldn't do in decades. They spent an entire season trying to humble her, trying to break her spirit, and desperately trying to convince the world that they were the real draw. Now, the absolute hypocrisy of it all is being exposed in plain sight. Now that it is time to negotiate the new collective bargaining agreement, those exact same veterans who threw shade are suddenly standing at the front of the line with their hands out in a total panic. They want the massive profits that her economy generated. They want those Clark effect paychecks to fund their chartered flights and supermax contracts, but they completely refuse to give Caitlin Clark the basic respect she deserves. It is a nightmare scenario built entirely on a toxic mix of pure jealousy and unadulterated greed. They want to gatekeep the spotlight while cashing the checks she wrote. The union thought they could bully their way to a massive payday, but they forgot that the new era has a voice of its own, and Sophie Cunningham just completely flipped the script on the entire league. The establishment wants to blame this impending disaster entirely on the collective bargaining agreement. The mainstream media is desperate to spin this as a routine labor dispute about percentages and salary caps. But the receipts tell a completely different story, and Sophie Cunningham just pulled back the curtain on the real rot infecting the league: cheap, incompetent owners. The reality is undeniable. Half of the WNBA ownership group is completely unfit to run a professional sports franchise. We are living in the new era. Caitlin Clark has brought unprecedented, billion-dollar revenue and global attention to a league that was starving for a dime. Yet, these old guard owners are actively gatekeeping the sport's explosive growth by doing the absolute bare minimum. They are treating a global phenomenon like a mom-and-pop charity. They want major league profits. They want the sold-out arenas, the massive television deals, and the media circus that the Indiana Fever generate every single night. But they absolutely refuse to make major league investments. Look at the Fever. They understand what they have. They are building a state-of-the-art, world-class practice facility in 2027 to protect and elevate their generational talent. Meanwhile, the establishment owners in other cities are doing nothing but pocketing the Clark effect cash while their players practice in borrowed gyms. They are dragging the entire league down with their refusal to open their checkbooks, but the players are finally waking up to the scam. Sophie Cunningham just went on the record, dropping the absolute hammer on the billionaires who are too cheap to build the future. She didn't just criticize them, she issued an ultimatum that has the front offices in an absolute panic. Sophie just told billionaires to sell their teams. But that's just the start. Her next warning isn't just a critique, it's a terrifying countdown to a total collapse. The gatekeepers of the WNBA are currently playing a sickening game of chicken, and make no mistake, the only casualties are going to be the fans. The establishment's absolute, catastrophic failure to negotiate in good faith has pushed the highly anticipated 2026 season to the literal brink of cancellation. This is a nightmare scenario unfolding in real time. A lockout would be the ultimate betrayal of the millions of new fans that the new era just brought to the sport. It proves exactly what we have been saying all along. The old guard owners and union reps would rather burn the entire house down than share the keys to the kingdom. They are terrified of losing control. Right now, the clock is ticking. The expansion draft for Toronto and Portland is completely frozen. Free agency for over 100 players is entirely paralyzed. The union thinks they have all the leverage right now because they have a secret backup plan to make money if the season is ultimately cancelled. They are walking around with absolute arrogance. But in a few minutes, I'm going to show you the math that proves their safety net is a complete scam, a scam that will leave 80% of the league completely bankrupt and unemployed. Before we expose that lie, we need to have a very real conversation about the sickening hypocrisy of these financial demands. Because the media is gaslighting you into thinking everything is fine, but the threat of a cancelled season is 100% real. The clock has run out, and the panic is officially setting in. Just listen to this.
If we're going to have a season, it has to happen within this next month of coming to an agreement. Otherwise, it's going to be a lockout or strike, which is insane.
Terrifying reality check. The absolute delusion of the WNBPA is staggering, and it's time we stop pretending otherwise. We are talking about a league that is staring down the barrel of a projected $700 million in losses over the life of this new agreement if they actually cave to the union's absurd demands. And we have to ask the most important question: who exactly are they demanding all this money for? They are fighting tooth and nail for veterans who absolutely do not move the needle. Let's do a quick reality check because the mainstream media refuses to say the quiet part out loud. Caitlin Clark, the literal face of the sport and the engine driving this entire global economy, is sitting on a base salary of a laughable $78,000. She is selling out arenas in 30 seconds, pulling in record-shattering television ratings, and single-handedly floating this league. Yet the union is using the leverage she generated to fight for massive, unearned pay bumps for players who ride the bench and couldn't sell out a high school gymnasium. It is textbook socialism disguised as player empowerment. They are walking into negotiations demanding a 30% revenue share from a massive pie that they didn't even bake. The old guard spent the entire year trying to humble the rookie, but now they want to cash the massive checks written by the Caitlin Clark economy. They want the benefits of the new era without putting in the work to actually grow the game. But the union's arrogance relies entirely on a false sense of security. They think they can afford a lockout because of alternative winter leagues. But the new era just shattered that illusion.
Dude, Unrivaled and Project B is not providing a cushion for majority. Bro, Unrivaled only employs 30-some people, 40 people, 40 players. Project B is taking 66 players, and it's not 66 WNBA players. They might have 15, 20 WNBA players. Majority of the WNBA is going to be unemployed. Those other leagues aren't doing anything for them.
Listen closely to that math, because the alternative league delusion has officially been exposed for exactly what it is, a scam. For months, the old guard superstars and union leaders have been walking around with complete arrogance, pushing this league toward a catastrophic strike. Why? Because the very people sitting at the negotiating table have guaranteed massive lifeboats waiting for them in Unrivaled and Project B. They are playing a reckless game of chicken with the owners because their own pockets are already lined with equity and off-season cash. But this is a catastrophic miscalculation for the rest of the league, and the new era is pulling the fire alarm. These side leagues are exclusive country clubs for a privileged few, not a safety net for the masses. Unrivaled has capped rosters. Project B is only taking a handful of WNBA stars. That leaves the vast majority of the WNBA's 144 players completely stranded. If the union forces a strike out of sheer pride to satisfy the egos of the top earners, the rank-and-file players, the ones who actually need the paychecks to survive, will be left completely unemployed. The establishment claims they are fighting for player empowerment, but the reality is undeniable. The union leadership is actively risking the livelihoods of the exact role players they claim to protect. They are willing to sacrifice the working class of the WNBA just to prove a point. The new era is handling this with total transparency, completely shattering the false security the establishment tried to build. The players are panicking, the owners are divided, but the most powerful force in this negotiation hasn't even been mentioned yet: the fans. And their response is absolutely brutal. If you think the old guard is controlling the narrative right now, you need to scroll down to the comments section immediately. The fanbase is experiencing absolute, unfiltered vindication, and it is a glorious thing to watch. For an entire year, the establishment media and the WNBPA gaslit millions of people. They called the new fans toxic, just for pointing out the undeniable jealousy and resentment directed at Caitlin Clark. But the truth always comes to the light. Now, the fans see right through the WNBPA's unadulterated greed and the establishment owner's staggering incompetence. The social media reaction is absolutely unanimous. The fans stand firmly with Sophie Cunningham and the new era. Just read the comments flooding every single WNBA post right now. The message is crystal clear: no Caitlin, no ratings. Fans are demanding that these billionaires sell the teams, if they can't afford to run them. The overarching consensus is that the union is ruining the sport. This is the ultimate reality check that the gatekeepers are terrified to face. The fans know that without Caitlin Clark, there is absolutely zero leverage. She is the product. She is the entire economy. If the union forces a lockout to protect the egos and wallets of a few entitled veterans, the millions of new fans who just saved this league won't wait around for them to get their act together. They will leave, and they will never come back. You cannot spit in the face of your customers and expect them to keep buying what you are selling. The fanbase has officially drawn a line in the sand. The leverage has shifted. And now, I'm going to make a prediction about how this nightmare actually ends. Here is the prediction that the mainstream media is too terrified to make, but on this channel, we deal in absolute certainties. Mark the tape right now, the establishment is going to flinch. When the cheap owners and the greedy union leaders finally look over the cliff of a 2026 lockout, pure, unfiltered panic is going to set in. They are going to realize the uncomfortable truth they have been dodging for an entire year: the Caitlin Clark economy is the absolute only thing keeping them relevant. They will stare down the barrel of total financial ruin and sign a compromised, patched-together deal at the absolute 11th hour. Why? Because they simply cannot afford to lose the golden goose. They need her to pay the bills, and they know it. This entire saga has been a masterclass in exposure. The old guard spent the entire season trying to gatekeep the sport. They tried to humble the rookie, suppress her influence, and protect their fragile hierarchy. But the new era just exposed them as the ultimate hypocrites. They want the massive payouts, the global attention, and the luxury treatment, but they refuse to put their egos aside to actually grow the game. The reality is undeniable: you cannot demand major league money when you are still operating with a minor league mentality. So, I want to hear from you. Will the WNBA actually pull the trigger and cancel the 2026 season over this greed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay ahead of the corrupt politics, skip the gaslighting, and get the raw truth, hit that subscribe button right now. We aren't just watching the drama unfold, we are keeping the receipts.